Tonight, Bui Hydroelectric Power Plant comes on stream, but former President Kufuor is not happy with government's failure to invite him to ceremony to switch on the plant which he started.
While the completion of the Bui project is a very good reason to rejoice, it does not suggest an end to our energy challenges. We still have a lot of work to do in the short, medium, and long term.
So now we have all the details for you. We'll be getting some explanations why former President Kufuor was not invited.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion, Belacra Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water. It's also brought to you by Lifebuoy, still 100% better gem protection, also by Blue Rose Limited, shelter for all. It was billed to be a happy occasion, one with the key to unlocking part of our energy crisis. But the commissioning of the Bui Hydroelectric Power Plant has rather become the basis for some political controversy. Former President Kufuor, who secured the funds and cut the sword for the construction of the dam, is not happy. Government failed to invite him for today's ceremony. We will shortly hear from him. But first, this is President Mahama warning that today's ceremony to switch on the power will not solve our power challenges.
While the completion of the Bui project is a very good reason to rejoice, it does not suggest an end to our energy challenges. We still have a lot of work to do in the short, medium, and long term in order to completely arrest the problems and eliminate the impediments in supply of electricity to our people. Ultimately, Ghana's energy security is dependent on producing and processing our own gas reserves. I have taken a personal interest in the Ghana Gas Project and have asked for regular briefings on the progress of the project. I am convinced that the end of year target that has been set for bringing our own gas on stream is realizable. Production of our own gas will create reliability and cost effectiveness in our power production.
Now, the president was clear, private investment is the way forward.
I'm told discussions are also advancing for an independent power producer to put ultimately an additional 400 megawatts of solar power into the national grid at Kusogo in the northern region. While increasing generation, we have also been investing in building a strong transmission grid to evacuate power in a more efficient manner. Today, I'm happy to announce that in line with our commitments to improve power supply, we will, starting from today, put into operation a 161 kilovolt substation at Kintampo, and I am supposed to be in Kintampo later this afternoon to commission this particular substation built by Gridco.
Now, shortly, we will examine what today's switch on means for the ongoing load shedding exercise. But first, to the political controversy raging on the back of today's ceremony. Former President Kufuor has told our sister station he feels snubbed by government for failing to even notify him of today's ceremony when he actually secured the funds and cut the sword for the dam. Listen to him speaking to Asempa FM. He spoke to you.
I am a Bui Dam, I do be a power no.
Asempa FM.
Nemo, my Sabia, me to be a cry invite me, Sabi Bisacoso. It means Sabi Biacoso. And I'm a work radio, but anything. And you said you only pound, and you afraid the Ankamaka and Kayani. I had then say, and can you said Juma in Adia Comaso, Masha said, Nankam, maybe any animal to us, or Nanya Mia Dumedru, Diadri. Yeah, be to Jano. Oh, as much the idea no, I knew, na fi wo ka se aniado na kore asema na obi a timitie nie na ankoba sadia na bibi kamupa sese Ghana fo nyina kai yanya ne sa.
So you had former President Kufuor there. If you don't understand, essentially what he was saying was that he felt disappointed that he wasn't even notified of today's ceremony to switch on the plant. We understand it's going to add some 133 megawatts to the national grid. I'm joined right now on the line by the head of communications at the Energy Ministry, Edward Bauer. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Top Story. Do you know if former President Kufuor was invited?
Thank you very much, Evans, and good evening to your listeners. Fundamentally, it is important to state something, that today's activity was just to kickstart just one unit of the 400 megawatts that we are supposed to produce. And in fact, the President did indicate that this was not the formal commissioning of the project, but that this was just to let people know that at least some part of the project was producing power. Even in that, I do know that he did indicate, even in terms of his speech, pay tribute to President Kufuor and all other people who played key roles in bringing this project this far. I do know that the real commissioning of the project is going to be at the end of the year, when we will now be having the 400 megawatts of power. And the indication from the President's speech today clearly indicates that at that time, all key stakeholders, all people who played key roles in that, would be part of it. I have heard President Kufuor talk about it, just what you played. It's unfortunate that he feels that way, and we are sorry about that, but it was just a way of just trying to tell the people that, look, we are getting some power, but this is not the official commissioning of the project. And so that is exactly what the situation looks like. So
clearly he wasn't invited, but am I taking it from you that there's a certain assurance that once the project is fully commissioned, we understand close to the end of the year, he will be invited and take a central part in the commissioning?
I don't speak for state protocol, but I can state clearly, based on even the indications given by the President's own speech today, where he paid serious tribute to President Kufuor's contribution towards the project. It is very clear that he will definitely be recognized and properly accorded the due when the time comes.
Some may argue, though, yesterday was not the full commissioning. We understand from what the President said it was just switching on of the first, if you like, stream of power from the Bui Hydroelectric power plant. It was pretty necessary, seeing that he was so central to it. At least give him a call and say, this is what we are going to do. He didn't seem to know anything about what was going to happen today.
I can't speak to that effect as to whether he was given a call, he was not given a call. I can't speak to that. But I'm just saying that even looking at the way the program itself was managed, was arranged there, I'm wondering if really you could bring somebody of the stature of the president, a former president, to be around that place. It was just more of like a working visit for the president to see what was happening and to just switch it for us to be able to get power as the project goes on. So that is my own understanding, that looking at even the way the program itself was managed, it will be very difficult to bring somebody of the stature of the president, the former president, to be roving around with us, because it was more like working visit to see what is happening and to see how the project has gotten so far.
Mr. Bauer, stay on the line for me. I've also been joined right now by Sam Fletcher, who is the public relations, indeed the communications director for the Volta River Authority. Do I have him on the line? Okay, we don't have him on the line. We want to understand, essentially, when he joins us on the line, what this means for the current load shedding exercise. Probably let me put that to you, Mr. Bauer. What does this mean? We know we are having load shedding right now. What does today's switch on mean for the current load shedding exercise?
I mean, simply what this means is that because as a country where power demand is growing on by the day, where we know that by virtue of our own economic development, power supply must go even higher than that. Because over the past decade or so, our average GDP growth is always hovering around between 7 and 8%. And that tells you that in terms of our power installed generation capacity growth, we need to go even higher than 8% annually. In fact, experts talk about 10%. So therefore, as a system, looking at the system itself, we are in dire need of extra megawatts. And so today's addition of 133 megawatts to the system goes to boost part of our efforts in making sure that we have enough megawatts in the system to work. In fact, you will hear from the president that this is not the solution, the final solution to the problem. This is just one of the steps towards ensuring that we have sufficient and reliable supply of power for homes and businesses. That's the significance of it today.
I get that point, and we had a president, but for the many out there sleeping in darkness right now, what they want to know is, will this solve the current challenges we are having with load shedding, even in the interim?
In the interim, Evans, if you were to take your reporters out to the streets, they would tell you that there has been significant improvement in terms of the load shedding issues in Ghana. As we speak now, we used to have situations where people will go off for about 12 hours. We now have a situation where people may even go off for maybe 2-3 hours in every 4 or 5 days. It tells you that on daily basis, we add megawatts to the system. On daily basis, the situation is being improved. And so the addition of 133 megawatts to the system obviously goes to even enhance our effort towards that.
Okay, I've been told I've been joined by Mr. Sam Fletcher of the VRA. Maybe he can give me in terms of, because they are the technical institution responsible for the generation of power. Mr. Fletcher, if you're there, I want to understand from where you sit as the power generators. We're talking about some 133 megawatts. Realistically, will it solve the current power challenges we're having in terms of the load shedding? Okay, we don't have him on the line. When we get him, we'll put those questions to him. But let's talk about some of the key things the president touched on, apart from the fact that this is not the solution to our challenges. He believes that going forward, the private sector must be the vehicle that pulls us all along to an energy-sufficient future. Plus, obviously, the production and the processing of our own gas. Is that really realistic? Because he put a timeline to it, expecting that by the end of this year, we'll be able to produce and process our own gas to then fuel our energy needs.
Evans, you will realize that if you look at 1996, the power challenges we had, in 2003, the power challenges we had, in 2006, the power challenges we had, these were challenges due to the level of water at in the Volta Lake. These current challenges that started last year has exposed us yet to another risk, and that is the risk of reliable supply of natural gas. And so what the president was simply talking about was that this is a risk that must be adequately taken off. It is in view of this that the government itself is investing huge capital in putting up the gas processing plant. And yes, it is true that looking at the construction schedule that has been given out, looking at what the contractor himself has said, it is very clear that the end of the year target that has been given to ensure that the facility that is capable of taking 150 million standard cubic feet of gas daily should be ready to utilize our own gases and to give us the necessary natural gas that we need for our power generation activity.
Mr. Barr, just stay on the line briefly for me. I've been joined by an energy expert, indeed, Mr. Amin Adams. He's with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Mr. Adams, the president believes that, yes, the power was switched on today at the Bui hydroelectric power plant, but it's not a solution. He's looking long-term, and as far as he's concerned, energy sufficiency will come from our ability to produce and process our own gas. And the timeline he put to that, he believes by the end of this year, we will have that capacity. Do you share in his optimism?
Yeah, first of all, let me congratulate government and the people of Ghana for bringing part of the Bui hydro power on stream. This is significant news for Ghana. But I want to agree with the president that this is no panacea. It is no solution to the power crisis that we have in the country. 133 megawatts is just brought on stream, in addition to 132 megawatts from Takoradi 3. You are talking about 260 megawatts. The deficit as a result of the damage to the pipeline of the West Africa gas pipeline is about 250 megawatts. And so based on what is coming on stream from Bui and from Takoradi 3, that deficit seems to be addressed. However, what they are not telling Ghanaians is that it is not just addressing this deficit, which is the problem. At the current level of generation capacity, Ghana must have what we call a reserve margin of about 400 megawatts, which we don't have. And so if you want to talk about the deficit in the real sense of what pertains in the industry, the deficit is supposed to be around 650 megawatts. And so in terms of what we are bringing on, it will just neutralize what we are not getting from Asogli as a result of the damage to the pipeline. But indeed, we need an additional 400 reserve margin, because anytime any of the plants, either Takoradi 1 or Takoradi 2 or Takoradi 3, goes for maintenance, then it means that we are back to the Dumso. And this is why we think that we need to do more.
Okay.
Our own analysis shows that gas...
Give me a 30 seconds answer to this, because the president's own analysis is by the end of the year, to get to a point where we can be energy sufficient, we need to start processing and producing our own gas. And he believes we can do that by the end of the year. Is that realistic? Yes or no? And briefly, 30 seconds.
I don't think so, because Nigeria supplies about 60 million standard cubic feet average, even though they are supposed to have been supplying to us 120 million standard cubic feet. And so by the end of the year, if we get indigenous gas from Jubilee is supposed to peak at 120 million standard cubic feet. But about 30% of Jubilee gas is to be used for re-injection and part to be used for power generation on the FPSO. So realistically, what we will be having from Jubilee will be around 70 million standard cubic feet.
So clearly from where you stand, the president's estimation cannot be realistic by the end of the year. But thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. That's Amin Adams. He's an energy expert with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Earlier, he had Edward Bauer, who is the communications director with the Energy Ministry. My name is Evans Mensah. This has been Top Story.